It is time. 2024 has come to a close with some amazing figures. I had so many great pickups this year, and so now we have to get into it. This is my 2024 top 10 figures of the year. This list was extremely hard to even put together. I must have altered it half a dozen times, but I finally came up with a list that I'm extremely happy about. Some curveballs, so let's just jump right into it with the number 10 slot. This is a figure that came out at the very beginning of 2024. Not everybody got it, and I understood why. It may not fit in everybody's collection, but it is, of course, Dead Strange from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is a figure that is quintessential. You don't have to love the source material, but you could love or like the characters, and this is definitely one of them. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, but the visuals and the figures that this movie put out, I thought were some of the best, and this piece here is just outstanding. It's just filled with so much detail, and Hot Toys engineering of actually even crafting this piece. The head sculpt is, I think, one of the best, and not only that, you can just keep looking at this figure over and over again and just seeing so many details and things you might have missed the first time around. It has some incredible shelf presence. It's a piece that I absolutely love, and I'm so thankful that I have in the collection. I pre-ordered this very early on, and this is an amazing piece. And like I said, it doesn't fit everyone's collection because it is a zombie theme, but this is one I absolutely could not pass on. And funny enough, I got this before I even got my first Doctor Strange figure. But this is it's one of those pieces that you have to see this in person to truly appreciate the artistry and the craftsmanship that went into the actual figure itself. As I said, it wasn't something for everybody, but there's just so many details and so many just intricate things that you might miss the first time. Like I said, you can look at this figure so many different ways and angles, and it does take up a lot of space, a lot of real estate, but I think it's well worth it if you have the space for it and the vision of how to display this properly. The only downside to this figure is I don't like the base. I wish we would have got a little bit like a rock diorama base to really pull it all together. But starting out my list for the top 10 figures that I purchased in 2024, it is going to be, as I said, Dead Strange from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Another figure that came out really early on that I think a lot of people, it honestly just got lost in the shuffle as the year went on, was Black Adam from the movie. This is another figure where the movie, I actually enjoyed it, but I know a lot of collectors didn't like it. But I mean, you can't deny the presence this figure has. The head sculpt is amazing. It's a miniature, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, sitting on the shelf there. The body is incredibly impressive, the engineering on the body, and just like I said, another shelf presence type of piece. This does have the USB power to light up the lightning bolt. I prefer this version without the cape. I know we had 2 SKUs on this, technically more than that, but you had the blue and the gold. I opted just for the gold. I think the diorama base looks awesome as well, and the lightning effects, the way they're coming out of his hands, it just has a lot of commanding shelf presence, and you can pair him up with Superman or anything like that. This was my first figure using the USB system that has now kind of become somewhat standard on Hot Toys figures as we moved throughout 2024. So this was, like I said, my first crack at it, but this thing was so badass. And like I said, people might call it a sleeper figure just because it's one that it kind of came and went. But I think it definitely earns a place in the top 10 for me because of the shelf presence this has. The head sculpt is phenomenal. It's The Rock. They had to nail this likeness, and Hot Toys succeeded, I feel. And like I said, when you have this in person, the body, the proportions on this thing is just so beefy and badass. It is just a great figure. It's one I always had in the back of my mind to keep in my top 10. Now, another figure might be a little bit of a surprise, but hear me out. And this is going to be Deadpool from the new Deadpool Wolverine movie. Why did this make this into my top 10? It's a Deadpool figure, right? It is my first one. He comes with a shit ton of accessories. You know why I like this figure? This is one figure I had just so much fun with. I know when it comes to Hot Toys, we get our figures, we pose them up, we admire them for a little bit, and they just end up on the shelf. If you check out my channel, my YouTube shorts, which I know people, obnoxious shorts putting out short form content, he is all in the shorts. I had so much fun with this figure, posing him up. The one thing that really stood out to me was the proportions. I think they were great on this figure. This is the exclusive. I just have a lot of the accessories tucked away with the gold guns and stuff. But this figure was just such a blast. And honestly, I never even put this in the display case in terms of like a permanent home. I was always just filming content, playing with this figure, posing it up. I didn't care about getting a little bit of creasing in the suit. I love this figure. I just had a lot of fun as a collector, posing it up and just honestly playing with it. It's one of those that I haven't had that kind of experience with the figure for a while, but this is an awesome piece. Anyone who doesn't have a Deadpool, this is obviously the one to get, and I can't wait for that, that Wolverine and the other subsequent figures from this movie that we are going to get, so we have a little bit of a pairing with this. But this is, like I said, my first Deadpool. I'm so glad I have this one. I prefer this. I like the vibrancy of the suit. I think all the hands, all those gestures and all that stuff is, you get what to expect with it. And I just had so much fun with this figure. Just like I said, posing him up, interacting with other characters, breaking the wall with him, and just having fun. And, like I said, there wasn't a lot of figures I could say that gave me that type of excitement, that kind of fun like this one did. So for that reason and the enjoyment that I had as a collector unboxing this, but then also playing with this and posing with it, he earns a spot in the top 10. Now, the next figure is one, maybe a curve for some people like Deadpool, but hear me out. It's the Darth Vader Return the Jedi 40th anniversary. Why is it in my top 10? For one reason only. If you were to own a Darth Vader and you don't have one, this for me is the ultimate Vader to own. I have the Empire Vader, I have the Obi-Wan TV show Vader, I have this Vader, and this to me is the ultimate. It comes with everything you need and nothing you don't. You have multiple display options with the base here, including the other piece. You also have this Sebastian Shaw head sculpt. It is USB, fully lit up, the chest, all the components, the lightsaber, including the electrified head sculpt if you want that. This figure is just so damn clean, just standing here. The other thing about this figure, that unless you're a Vader purchaser, you own Vaders, for some reason the hands on this were so incredibly easy to swap out. Every other Vader I have was a bitch trying to get the hands pegged and locked in, where this one was so easy to do. And the shelf presence this has, just honestly standing here like this plugged in, is just such an amazing thing. If you were to own just one Darth Vader, I do think that this is the one to own, and there is not need, you don't need to own anything else. Hot Toys, I think, did a fantastic job on this. It just looks so crisp, clean, and just overpowering with the presence just standing there without his lightsaber. Oftentimes I pose with the sabers, but I always wanted to pose with him with his hands on his belt, and I think this is just an outstanding piece. And I'm so glad to have this one in the collection. If I had to get rid of anything, this would be the only Vader that I would keep. And some people I know even got two of them because of all the display options. You can display him like this or with the Sebastian Shaw head sculpt, which is a absolutely amazing head sculpt in its own right. And they gave you display options on the base. So with all that being said, and for the price point of what this figure was, it was very difficult for me not to include this one in my top 10. Now, another figure I just recently got that I had to spend a little bit of time with, but once I did, this thing just jumped right into my list, and it is Bane from the Dark Knight Rises. And there is one good reason why this figure actually ended up in my top 10. This figure is an example of 2.0's done correctly. I did not own the original one. I never had an inkling to go back and get it because I always felt it was very underproportioned. It just didn't look good. It just didn't age well. And Hot Toys gave us a 2.0 that I think was worthy of the upgrade. The sculpt is outstanding. The body on this thing is just big, beefy, badass with all of the details you can see here, the veins, all the texture, all the musculature, everything like that, the seamless arms. The only downside to this one for me personally, which is an eyesore, is his left arm, where you have the seam on the wrist. So you see that exposed wrist joint. I wish Hot Toys did a little bit better of covering that up. But honestly, I've tried posing this with the jackets, and this thing, in my opinion, needs to be posed just as is, because he just looks brute, badass on this display. I mean, the details on this, he's a simple figure, but he's incredibly imposing, and just the shelf presence that he commands, especially standing next to other figures in the line, like the Joker, things like that. It's just an amazing piece. But then once again, it's just an example, as I said, of 2.0s done right. They're not done right all the time. I'm talking about you, 89 Batman, but when they are, they deserve to be acknowledged, and this is definitely one that deserves the kudos and to be in the top 10 for sure. And like I said, the menacing look there with the eye rolling system, you really can get some very intimidating poses with this figure. And he's just simple. There's not a lot to him. He's very simplistic, but it doesn't need to be over the top sometimes. And like I said, this is one of those figures that commands the shelf presence when you see him. And this was just me taking some close-up shots of this figure. I never did a review of it, but I just did for this top 10. I just kind of wanted to really get some tight shots so you guys can just understand the absolute amount of detail that this figure offers. And it's one that I got very late in the game. I got it from Jeremy Casa. I actually never pre-ordered this piece, so I'm glad Jeremy was able to come through, just because this is one I couldn't imagine not being in my collection. And another one that I just recently actually just got 2 days before making this video. I had the Iron Man Mark 6 in here, but it got snubbed for the Iron Man Mark II. This is a figure I had on order, and I was dying to get this. For those who know me, Iron Man is my all-time favorite Marvel movie. The Iron Man Mark III is my all-time favorite suit. I do not own this Mark II original. This is my first one, and it now leaves me only one figure left for the Hall of Armor. Guys, this piece, it's one of those where, you know, yes, it's all chrome, and this thing is out. It's gorgeous. Hot Toys rarely ever drops the ball on Iron Man. I can only recall maybe one blunder, which they call the Tony Stank head sculpt. But when it comes to the actual engineering of the suit, they usually go all out for Iron Man. He's their moneymaker. He's their boy. And so this piece here is just unbelievable. The intricacies, the details. You could be opening up panels all day, looking at stuff. You have all these different design options of how you want him displayed, opening up, things like that. And then you have the base, which is really cool, lit up USB, so you have like that nice bright white light. It is a fingerprint magnet, to be expected with all the chrome. The Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt that comes with this is also amazing, which I'll be using for a custom. And so this is a piece that will go in my eventual Hall of Armor, but I'm going to enjoy this on its own with the base for quite some time, just because of the visual presence this piece has, being chrome, and the light just bounces off this thing. As I said, even the base with the kind of the gantry discs, you can kind of move those around. It's a really nice looking base. It's something that I would use for other Iron Man figures, or even maybe my Mech Test Tony. But it's the Mark III that's basically chrome plated. But it was just, it's really unbelievable in terms of the presence. And that's a big deal for me when it comes to figures, is the shelf presence this has. And obviously this is the, you know, the moving into my favorite suit, the Mark III, but this one had to be in the list, the Mark II. Now, jumping off of Hot Toys, I had to include INART in here. Yes, I do get INART figures. And if I got not one, but I bought two of the same figure, I mean, how does that not get into the top 10? And that, of course, is the INART Superman BVS Henry Cavill, my boy. I couldn't not just get one, had to get two. One for flight, one for ground, if you will. I did a review on this. This is another piece that is just unbelievable. It looks like a miniaturized Henry Cavill on the shelf. I don't think film quite does it justice. You have to see it in person. And the best way I described this to a buddy of mine is that if I look at a bunch of figures on the shelf, this one my eye just gravitates towards, because the proportions, it looks like a human being. And then the option of the flight pose there is just in the wired cape. Without a doubt, the best wired cape on a 6 scale figure stock. without a doubt. None. I can't even begin to describe how awesome the cape is, including the drape as well. But I do own a couple other INART figures, but this is one that I got this year. Got 2 of them, as I said, and it's just one of those that Henry Cavill is my favorite Superman, and so I felt INART did him a fantastic justice in this figure. I thought he was priced pretty respectably for what it was. I do wish this figure came with rooted hair. I think that would have been the chef's kiss. He deserved the rooted hair treatment. I think this would just put it just over the top. I don't count the curl because that's silly, but these head sculpts including are really great. If you own the figure, I think you know what this presence this figure gives. And honestly, how many Henry Cavills are we going to get anymore with him not reprising the role? Hey, listen, if Hot Toys does one, which is obviously probably imminent soon, possibly an Artisan, I'll grab that one too, because Henry Cavill's my boy, and so I'm going to represent in any way possible. But I do love the options. I will actually be taking one of these figures and sending it out to get modded and have it dyed black to make it the black suit. If you guys have been seeing that on Instagram, I already got something in the works for next year. So one of these will actually be a black suit Superman, which that is going to be amazing because I think the body and the proportions on this are awesome from INART. And so no need to have 2 red and blues. I'm going to take one and make it black. Now, speaking of, now we got to talk about my boy Spider-Man. We're getting into the top tier here of my figures, and this is going to be the black symbiote suit from the Spider-Man 2 video game. When this suit was announced to be in the game, and that was kind of the saga of the game, I was really hoping Hot Toys was going to deliver and give us this figure, and lo and behold, this is another one I actually bought 2 of. So once again, how could it not be in the top 10 if I didn't buy, if I bought 2 of these? I think they did a tremendous justice on the suit. It's one of those suits that we've all wanted for, if you love Spider-Man, this is the suit that I think a lot of us did want. Obviously, the articulation is going to be what it is because of the material, but man, the presence this piece has, especially with the arms, I know I keep saying presence over and over again, but that's a big deal for me is when they're on the shelf, they just catch your eye. This is just some footage from the review that I did. I paired him up with the 89 base, and the reason why I got 2 of these is because of the tentacle arms that he comes with, or the spider arms. It was impossible not to have him in both ways. So I have one of him posed up with the arms fully out, and then one of him just kind of in a straight museum pose, nice and clean. And so I love the design of the suit. Obviously, this is Insomniac's take on it. And I think Hot Toys did a great version of this. When it comes to Spider-Man figures, I do love the Advanced Suit and the Advanced Suit 2.0. They're some of my favorite Spider-Man suits. I love the versions that Insomniac has been giving us to the game, and Hot Toys did a tremendous job in translating that. I mean, like here, right here, like this look here, with the arms out and all that stuff. This is just unbelievable, and I think they did like I said, a tremendous job. I can't wait to get the Venom figure and all those figures as well to pair up with this. I'm getting every figure in this set. It's a low amount of figures, but nonetheless, I love these so much in these designs. He looks so great with his gargoyle. I was having so much fun filming this outside. As a matter of fact, another person loved it just as much. My daughter, she kind of intervened and really liked the Spider-Man herself, and so she kind of took him and ran away. And so I had one, like I said, there's one with the special edition Spider-Man sculpt, which, as I said, this is just, it's so much fun, and my daughter enjoyed it. So that made it all the better that she had given Spider-Man a kiss there. So she enjoyed Spider-Man, so did I. We absolutely love this figure, but that's not the only Spider-Man that ended up making it on the list. That's number 3. What's number 2? I think the best red and blue that we've gotten. It kind of sucks that it took us this many versions of Tom Holland to probably get the best one, but it's the final swing suit, red and blue from No Way Home. And it's just unbelievable. The head sculpt, I think, is one of the best sculpts that I've ever seen in hand. I love that they finally did the neck the right way, and you only went up halfway instead of covering it like other figures. This suit is so gorgeous in person. The vibrancy, the colors, they just pop. It sucks we only got it for about 45 seconds on screen. I do hope we see more of this suit in person. The diorama base is also pretty cool. You can use that with other figures if you want, but I normally display my Spider-Man figures with the masks on. This is one that probably will never have the mask on unless I'm doing maybe a specific photo, but in terms of the figure itself, how you see him posed here is how he is in my collection. This sculpt is just so unbelievable. It's just, it's crazy. And I know we have the rooted artisan version as well, which I have on order, so that's going to pair so nicely. But this trio here, yeah, the other two figures, you know, they have their issues, but you can't deny there's some great visuals here with these three Spider-Man figures together. I absolutely am so happy that I have this one in the collection. I almost contemplated getting a second one, but I did pass on it because I didn't think that it was ultimately needed. But it is a great figure. You know, the suit, the posing, all stuff, you know, the creasing, it's what happens with Spider-Man figures. But I think that I did so many photos of this figure and footage. It's one of those that it was impossible not to leave this off the top 10. And then as I was kind of like researching and doing more, he just ended up creeping all the way up to the number 2 spot. But if this is number 2, what could be the number 1 figure of 2024 for me? It's a figure I got, you know, only a month ago, and not everyone has this in hand. It's still, I think it's suffered some delays at the time of making this video from Sideshow. And yeah, I'm talking about it while Spider-Man's playing, but I got to give him the introduction. My number 1 figure of 2024, it's the Artisan Joker from The Dark Knight. When I did the review on this figure, I knew instantly that it was going to be the figure of the year. Why is it the figure of the year? The quality of this, but not only, Hot Toys had a lot riding on this figure, in my opinion. When this came out, obviously it was a clapback to INART with their version, and people, I think, were very sus about, you know, could Hot Toys deliver the kind of quality of INART? They were charging a hefty price tag for this, and so I think Hot Toys really stepped up here. Is the figure perfect? Of course not. I always say nothing is perfect. But for a stock figure, it is damn impressive. I think the sculpt is absolutely unbelievable. The hair, there was very little, next to no maintenance out of the packaging I had to do. So many different options of posing him. I do have a sculpted version on order also. I think the base is awesome. It's nice and versatile that you can use it with other figures, the light up feature on it. There's just so much going with it. And you know what? I'm the first one to admit, I'm not a huge fan of the whole Christian Bale Dark Knight trilogy, and you know, Heath Ledger's not my favorite Joker, Jack Nicholson, but I gotta tell you, having this figure in hand, it definitely swayed me over a lot more. 100% did. And so I was so impressed with this piece, and going outside and taking footage of it, the sculpt on it, I think, is just outstanding. I did do a comparison to INART. I do think this is the more superior figure. I think Hot Toys nailed it. Does it mean that every artisan is going to be like this? I don't know. I can't comment on that. But for the first artisan figure that I think had a lot riding on it, I do think Hot Toys did a fantastic job of bringing something amazing to the table. So that being said, guys, that's my top 10 list of figures that I purchased in 2024. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. I need to know. You don't got to give me all of them. Give me your number 1. Give me your top 3 of what your figures are. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what your favorites are. And like I said, guys, 2024 was a banger. And there was also a lot of pre-orders. So that just means we got a hell of a lot of shit coming out in 2025. So Hot Toys, INART, they're raising the bar. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys had a great time watching this video. I can't wait to see your comments, interact with you guys as always. Love you all. This is Mr. Mom Collectible saying take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.